Hello everyone, it's Blur, and today I'm going to be going over my Farseer Resto Shaman guide for Mythic Plus in Season 3 of The War Within. This is intended to be a very introductory guide for new healers, or maybe just new Resto Shaman players, but I hope to have a more thorough guide up eventually once we get some more experience with the dungeon pool and class setup, since it's only week 2 of the current season. Restoration Shaman is a great spot healer, with fast and instant cast single target heals that can really fill health bars, as well as great splash healing to help in rough AoE damage scenarios. Essentially, this means that we excel at healing one target very quickly and can trickle our healing to the other party members. It is important to note that Resto Shaman is very dependent on using cooldowns at opportune times, but we'll discuss that a little later. To get started, there are a few main healing spells that we will be using for the majority of our healing output. These are Riptide, Healing Surge, Chain Heal, and Cloudburst Totem. I won't even be discussing Healing Wave as the mana drain with the current build is so low that there's almost never a need to press it. In the 2 weeks of the season, even including some relatively harder keys for this early, I may have pressed Healing Wave twice. Our other abilities get so many modifiers and buffs by playing our rotation correctly that it's almost a wasted action bar slot. Riptide is a small to moderate single target heal that also applies a small heal over time effect. While this isn't a particularly strong heal on its own, there are a few modifiers it can receive, as well as some buffs that you're granted by casting it. Tidal Waves is the most important buff or modifier that we get as a Resto Shaman. By casting Riptide, you receive 2 stacks of a buff that largely increases the crit chance of your next Healing Surge, or reduces the cast time of your next Chain Heal. You can have up to 4 stacks of this buff at any given time, and you should always have this buff before casting a Healing Surge, Healing Wave, or a Chain Heal. Weaving in Riptides even during low damage periods can be beneficial, especially with the 3rd charge granted by Farseer and a very short cooldown. It is really hard to press too many Riptides unless you're neglecting to press more powerful spells afterwards, causing your team to suffer. Essentially, we should almost never be casting a Healing Surge, Healing Wave, or Chain Heal without the Tidal Waves buff. Healing Surge is a quick cast, single target heal. It is very straightforward, and in the current build has no real modifier of note aside from the crit chance buff from Tidal Waves. Press this if one single target feels like he's gonna die. Chain Heal will heal your primary target for a moderate amount before bouncing to other group members nearby. It is important to note, however, that each jump from Chain Heal has reduced healing. This means your main target will get healed, the next one will be healed for less, and the next one for even less. Our main rotation revolves around more or less alternating 1 Riptide for every 1 or 2 Chain Heals. This allows us to get the Tidal Waves buff for Riptide to make our Chain Heals cast faster, and then the Coalescing Waters talent makes our Chain Heal cause the next Riptide to have considerably increased healing. Think of it as a cycle where Riptide buffs Chain Heal, and then Chain Heal will buff Riptide. On screen is my current build. There are probably a few swappable talents, especially with Poison Cleansing Totem, Earth Grab, and Wind Rush. I tend to swap that talent point between those 3 nodes depending on the dungeon or group comp. Farseer adds a few extra micro cooldowns to our rotation that we should be pressing early and often. These are Cloudburst Totem, Unleash Life, and the Ancestral Swiftness talent from our Farseer tree. Cloudburst Totem will replace Healing Stream Totem. It seems complicated, but when pressed, it will start to collect 30% of our healing done before releasing that healing spread among the group after expiring or being pressed again. Use this before periods of any damage. We have 2 charges of it on a short cooldown and are able to get another charge back from the Totemic Recall talent every 2 minutes. Unleash Life buffs our next healing ability, but more importantly causes us to spawn a Farseer ancestor that casts similar healing or damage spells. This is on a 15-second cooldown and should also be pressed early and often. Ancestral Swiftness causes our next healing or damage ability to become free and slightly more effective, but additionally also summons 2 Farseer ancestors to help us. This is on a 30-second cooldown and is very powerful. Try and line this up when you have a Cloudburst Totem down, but you really shouldn't sit on this ability unless you're preparing for a specific damage event. Restoration Shaman has 3 main cooldowns: Ascendance, Healing Tide Totem, and Spirit Link Totem. Ascendance is on a 2-minute cooldown in our current talent build, and should be pressed very often for any large damage events, especially AoE damage. Essentially, after a small burst of instant group healing, you will duplicate your healing done and splash it onto the rest of the group. This cooldown is extremely powerful, and the biggest mistake I see from new Resto Shaman players is their reluctance to use it. Just press it if you're at all worried and you'll be okay. Throughout a 30-minute key, I really try to use it anywhere from 10 to 15 times. Healing Tide Totem is a passive AoE healing totem when pressed that also grants us a few instant cast Healing Surge casts at a reduced mana cost. This totem is considerably more powerful now than it has been in past seasons and is no longer a meme to press. With our current build, it's a slightly longer than 2-minute CD and should almost be pressed on cooldown for any damage events. I personally think that Spirit Link Totem is the coolest healing cooldown in the entire game. On a 3-minute cooldown, it puts a circle down that redistributes the health of everyone inside of it. Essentially, everyone in the circle will have the same health percentage while the totem is down, and it also gives a slight damage reduction. This is great both in AoE situations or when you feel like you simply can't meet the single target healing requirement for the situation. I tend to use this a lot when I feel my tanks are about to fall over, as the DR and healing redistribution is really the closest that Resto Shaman has to a tank external. Resto Shaman has some extremely powerful cooldowns. Usually when I watch people that are struggling to meet healing requirements, you can see one or more of their cooldowns available. When in doubt, just press something. The Resto Shaman DPS rotation might be the easiest of all the healers. With 3+ targets, spam Chain Lightning. With 2 targets, Lava Burst with Flame Shock active and fill with Chain Lightning. And in single target, Lava Burst with Flame Shock and fill with Lightning Bolt. It's really that simple. Keep in mind that you can use both Ancestral Swiftness and Unleash Life to grant Ancestors that help as a damage bonus also. And that's really about it. TLDR, keep Tidal Waves with Riptide to buff Chain Heal, press Chain Heal to buff Riptide, and press your cooldowns more often than you probably think you should. I hope this guide was helpful. I'm relatively new to this and I appreciate any feedback. Please like and subscribe to support me, and I hope to have some more guides out soon. And with that, happy keying everyone.